Well, stay with us. Make sure you join us on Facebook, Joy News on TV. We have a Twitter handle at Joy News on TV. We have Joy News TV on YouTube, and myjoyline.com gets you all the aggregated news we produce right here on Joy News and the rest of the multimedia platforms. And myself and Gifty and Wapia were here for the show. Now, Gifty, good morning to you.
Good morning, Roland. I hope that you slept well.
It was okay.
All right.
I'm not sure we get enough sleep in this job.
It looks like. But we'll be fine. We'll be fine. It's a calling, so you always have to psych yourself out.
Is it what?
It's a calling.
Fantastic. Well, we have to start the news on our first story. The chair of the Vice Chancellors of Ghana, Professor Ebenezer Oduro-Owusu, says online learning systems have become an effective mode of teaching and learning following the advent of coronavirus. Now, speaking during the launch of the disinfection of all public-private universities across Ghana, he stated e-learning is now the way forward. Some institutions continue to struggle to construct structures to accommodate the ever-increasing number of students who need admission in universities. Maxwell Baba has more in this report.
The Zoom-Lion disinfection of all tertiary institutions in the country comes ahead of the return of final-year students of the various schools. The exercise hopes to provide a safe, COVID-free environment for the students who are returning to school. The Vice-Chancellor of the University of Ghana, Professor Ebenezer Oduro-Owusu, said online education is now the new normal.
Large number of students, lack of space for them, and so on and so forth. So if we try this and we realize that it is working, why don't we have a blended approach to make sure that more students can access our programs? So you don't necessarily have to walk into campus all the time to have a face-to-face interaction to get a degree. We can have that blended approach where we have online, occasionally you can come to campus. In that case, we can increase our intake without having a toll on our facilities. Every situation, whether good or bad, presents opportunities for learning. And we have learned a couple of them, that you can execute certain things at very cost-effective levels through online.
Education Minister Matthew Poku-Prempeh indicated that the coronavirus pandemic has necessitated virtual learning, adding universities must begin to use a blended approach in teaching.
We do know that this COVID has brought into bear the need to embrace blended learning, because we are getting into a new normal, and it is imperative that the universities and all Ghana educational institutions adopt blended learning. So going forward, I do know that the University of Ghana had already taken steps in this direction.
He also stated a special team has been formed under the Senior Minister's office to ensure the safe reopening of schools.
The President has set up a special team under the office of the Senior Minister, with the Director General of Ghana Health Service, Director General of Ghana Education Service, the Director General of the Military Logistics, the Director General, Deputy Director General of Police Welfare, the Ministry of Information, the Ministry of Local Government, to coordinate in the distribution of logistics and then ensure that schools reopening happens safely. This spraying will occur in both public and private institutions. Also, not only those under the Ministry of Education, but other institutions outside the ambit of the Ministry of Education.
Chief Operating Officer of Zoom-Lion, Florence Labi, has been providing details of the mass disinfection exercise of schools.
The time slated for this exercise is from the 10th to the 15th. And these are the tertiaries, 240 in number. The second phase will be for the second cycles, that number 1,200. And these are all forms of second cycle institutions, including the NVTIs. They are going to be attended to from the 15th to the 21st. And then the next phase would be the basic schools, that number 25,000. And these are a great number. They are scattered all over the nation. They are going to go to school on the 29th. So their period is from the 21st to the 27th.
Now, persons presumed or known to have COVID-19 in Ghana are still being subjected to stigma, despite the many campaigns against it. It turns out frontline health workers in the fight against the pandemic are also being subjected to the same kind of treatment. As we throw the focus on frontline health workers, Beryl Ernestina Richter brings you the story of Major Matthias Ayeli-Ahik, who works at the Elwak Level 2 Isolation and Treatment Center.
The Elwak Sports Stadium. It was made a treatment center following the outbreak of COVID-19 to complement other isolation treatment centers in the country. Major Matthias Ayeli-Ahik is the deputy commandant here. He's part of a team of over 20 healthcare workers deployed from the Ghana Armed Forces Medical Corps to help manage COVID-19 patients here. Major Ayeli-Ahik has been in the Ghana Armed Forces Medical Corps for over 10 years. He is a radiographer with the Department of Radiology at the 37 Military Hospital. He knows too well the risks he is exposed to as a frontline health worker in the COVID-19 pandemic fight. But he says he cherishes the opportunity to serve the nation in this historic moment.
We took an oath to defend this nation by air, land and sea, even at the peril of our lives. So when the very moment for you to really put that oath to work or to really stand by the words you said before the commander-in-chief camp, we don't hesitate. We rather take pride in that opportunity.
What he didn't sign up for, though, is the stigma he says he and his colleague COVID-19 medics have to endure. Major Ayeli-Ahik says he has had his share.
You know, there are times you are with your friends, even this video that is being aired now. Okay, so Major Ayeli-Ahik. So the next moment you see a friend, you say, Charlie, be like last time I see you for TV. Yes, sir. So we did a COVID center. I say, yes, sir. Okay, oh boy, please maintain some distance whilst we talk. You know, it's funny, but indirectly the person have shown that level of stigmatization we're talking about.
As a health professional, he can fairly understand human behavior. What seems to beat his mind lately, though, is why people who have recovered from the disease are also subjected to the same humiliation.
Our greatest concern is the patients. Once they leave here and they have been declared they've recovered, it means they've recovered. There's no point trying to avoid them or making them, and the worst of it is the non-verbal communications. You know, I can act in such a certain way that I've not said anything to you, but my body language has communicated a lot to you. We should try and avoid that.
Here is what he has to say to those who humiliate persons who have recovered from COVID-19.
When they come back, that is when we show them love. We try to learn from their experiences. They'll share the stories that they went through so that we know that indeed what we are up against as a nation is real.
The war against coronavirus rages on all over the world. A daunting one it is. Frontline health workers like Major Ayeli-Ahik and his colleagues are crucial to this fight. They cannot be stigmatized if they should remain motivated to lead the fight. Beryl Ernestina Richter's report for Joy News.
And we have to take you to the Upper West region. Now, though they have agreed to reopen second cycle in junior high schools for final year and gold track students later this month, heads of schools in the region want some challenges addressed before they go back to schools. Key among them is security of students discipline, inadequate food at their stores, and overcrowding at the schools. The headmasters expressed these concerns at the meeting organized by the Upper West Regional Coordinating Council to brainstorm on the best strategies or modalities to put in place for the reopening of schools in the region to enable final year students prepare for their final examinations. Here's Rafiq Salam's report.
The meeting brought together municipal and district chief executives, municipal and district directors of education, headmasters and headmistresses of second cycle institutions, and proprietors of private schools in the region. Upper West Regional Minister Dr. Hafiz bin Sali disclosed that confirmed cases of COVID-19 in the Upper West region remain 22, out of which 21 have fully recovered, leaving one person at the one municipal hospital treatment center whose samples have been sent awaiting results.
Partial opening of schools has been necessitated by the fact that COVID-19 disease will surely be with us for a long time to come. In that regard, our lives must definitely go on. It is for us, therefore, to observe all the recommended World Health Organization's protocols to contain and manage the spread of the disease.
Stakeholders agreed hook, line, and sinker to reopen second cycle and junior high schools for final year and second year golden plaque students. However, they have some challenges they want addressed before the reopening date.
The students are coming. We will have some of them falling sick with ordinary sickness and other things. We suggest that some health workers should be on standby in the schools so that they can quickly treat the students, especially in those schools where there are no school clinics and sick bays, so as to prevent the students from going unnecessarily to the hospital for even very small issues.
I have gold students because my school is a democracy school. They will be having. So I'm going to have over 800 students on campus. How am I going to handle that?
The school is supposed to be a day school, but all the students are being accommodated in the school, 487 of them. And we are taking 178 final year students. They cook for themselves. The students get to town every market day to buy food to come out. This is the situation. What do? How can I prevent them from getting to town to buy food? Because they must eat.
Indiscipline of final year students also came to the fore at a meeting which authorities will want to have full control without any interference from their parents.
May I say that this is the time for you, the authorities, to give her the necessary backing so that when we discipline students, the parents will not come disturbing us. Let parents understand that this is a very crucial moment in our lives. COVID-19 has come to stay with us. And so we have to do everything practically possible to ensure that these final year students write their exams and go.
It was also discussed that before the schools reopen, waste management company Zoomlion Ghana Limited in the next couple of days will be disinfecting and fumigating over 800 public and private schools in the region. Emmanuel Volsuri is the Upper West manager of Zoomlion Ghana Limited.
In all, we are going to disinfect 804 basic schools, as Honorable Regional Minister mentioned in his address. 702 public schools and then 102 private schools. And we will also deploy 850 sprayers across the region.
Reporting for Joy News, Rafiq Salam. Wow.
Now the police is blaming sections of the public for disturbing the scene of crime where they engaged an armed robbery gang. Police say this could lead to the escape of some suspects. 2 members of a 6 armed robbery gang were gunned down by police at Santase, a suburb of Kumasi, after they engaged the police in an exchange of gunfire. Deputy Ashanti Regional Commander DCOP David Ajem told my colleague on him interior of the security desk the presence of the public who came out of their homes to witness the shootout limited the police officers' ability to operate effectively.
Police say the group is involved in car snatching and robbery, including the recent one in Mansuda Diase, where a gold dealer was targeted, leading to the killing of 3 people, including the driver of the district chief executive for Amansia South. DCOP David Ajem is a deputy Ashanti Regional Police Commander.
Based on intelligence, last night we sent some of our men to a site where we believed some members of an armed robbery group were gathering to go and operate. When they saw the officers approaching, they shot at them, injuring 1 officer in the process. And so the officers needed to return fire. In the course of the shooting, 2 of the robbers were hit and they died. The others escaped. And so we'll take this opportunity to inform all health facilities and herbal centers that if they get any persons who have gunshot wounds, they should immediately inform us so that we can arrest these persons for questioning. These hoodlums were believed, based on our intelligence, were the persons who had earlier in the month or late last month carried out an operation at Manso Dadieso where 3 persons were killed.
According to DCOP David Ajiman Ajem, the presence of residents who came out of their homes to witness the shootout thwarted police efforts to arrest all the armed robbers.
It did greatly affect us because, but for that, we would have been able to arrest the ones who were fleeing. But because there were too many persons there, we could not do what was expected of us. And I'll take this opportunity to advise the general public. If you hear gunshots, please stay where you are, take cover, rather than come out. And we are lucky that none of them was injured in the shootout. And so once you hear gunshots, stay put, take cover, and wait till things subside, because you could be caught in crossfire.
The police officer who was injured in the shootout is responding to treatment at a health facility. Meanwhile, the bodies of the 2 suspects who were killed in the shootout have been deposited at the Komfanoche Teaching Hospital's morgue pending autopsy.
The robbers were in a black BMW 5 Series with registration number JR761512. And an on-the-spot search on the vehicle revealed an SMG rifle loaded with 7 rounds of ammunition and 1 9mm 6R SP 2022 pistol, also loaded with 11 rounds of ammunition. We found a phone as well. The dead persons were sent to the Komfanoche Teaching Hospital mortuary, where later we'll do an identification and post-mortem of the persons.
From Kumasi, for Joy News, Ohim Interior reporting.
Well, so that's it for the news.
Yes, that's it for the news. We're back with a newspaper review. You want to stick and stay with us right here on the AM show.
Well, thank you for joining us once again. Just in case there's a time you're catching up, we've already done the introduction, a lot of news updates, but we're here to do the newspapers.
Yes, we are. And so it's good to have you. We're doing this with Inshira Ado. Inshira Ado will be joining us via Zoom, and Uncle Ben Efsin also joining
Uncle
us.
Benet. What's up?
Good morning, Gifty and Roland.
Please, he said what's up.
And good morning, Inshira.
Please.
Good morning, Mr. Efsin.
Uncle Ben, I want to find out how you respond to what's up.
We're on air, so later.
You don't know Uncle Ben, eh? Uncle Ben, we're not even.
Okay.
But Roland, you've been teaching me.
Oh.
Hey. Then you have stuff. If Roland has been teaching you, then you really have stuff.
Uncle Ben, put them aside. I'll do it. Okay, so Inshira will look at Dispatch, and Uncle Ben, you look at Statesman. I don't know why you took interest in the Statesman, though. I kept wondering. Maybe the picture of Nanabi attracted.
Well, it was Brian Cole who sent it to me.
Okay. At this juncture, you want to move on?
Yeah.
Okay, let's start with Inshira, I guess. Inshira with the Dispatch.
You just sounded like an MC. At this juncture.
Really?
Yeah.
Juncture. MCs don't really say that.
So Inshira, you start for us.
All right, so the front page of the Daily Dispatch says, flawed 2020 elections. We will go to the Supreme Court, according to John Dramani Mahama, the former president and flag bearer of the National Democratic Congress. And also government disinfection of public and private universities has been launched. Also, government eroding NDC's gains in the oil and gas sector, according to Emmanuel Amakofiboa, the former Minister for Energy under John Mahama's administration. And also housing conditions in the central region. And there's a focus on agriculture in the Ashanti region. Those are the headlines for the Daily Dispatch.
All right, shall we move on to Uncle Ben with the Statesman? Uncle Ben.
Yes, we have the main headline, banner headline is, don't do NDC even work. It cautions youth, as in Ketia and Mona, incite violence up north. And then Abi says that the youth cannot forget Mahama's intransigence on trainees' allowances. And then Mahama threatens EC over 2020 elections.
All right, interesting headlines there. I have the Daily Graphic newspaper. I'll continue from there. Daily Graphic newspaper banner headline says, we're committed to peace, but won't accept flawed elections. John Mahama. The story is by Kester Abraham Crunchy, and it has a picture of former President John Dramani Mahama as well. Then 24 health workers test positive for COVID-19 in Infantiman. And increasingly, we're seeing those happen. A lot of infections coming up among the frontline health workers. Then Dr. Kofi Mensah, Managing Director of ADB, is here, and the story is ADB disburses 23 million Ghana cedis to poultry farmers. Wow, interesting to see what that story contains, actually. And then tertiary institutions get ready to reopen. That story is on the back page of the Daily Graphic newspaper. Disinfection exercise begins. And finally, they have an update on the COVID-19 cases as of June 10. The cases are 10,201, recovered 3,755. And 48 people have died. Back page of the Daily Graphic newspaper has a picture, I beg your pardon, of the disinfection going on at the universities. And it says tertiary institutions get ready to reopen. Disinfection exercise begins. Malcolm Care Foundation donates to 4 hospitals. In the center spread, it says increasing symptomatic cases of COVID-19 disturbing. Stories by Desmond Kofi Teria. And then freight forwarders appeal to president over challenges at Tema ports. That's a discussion we've had here over and over again, but it looks like there are still some challenges. They want the president to look at it. World Food Program presents food supplement for COVID-19 patients. Story by Jennifer Kwasin. So these are the stories on the front page, back page, and the center spread of the Ghanaian Times news, the Daily Graphic, I beg your pardon, newspaper. If I continue, I have the Ghanaian Times to continue. University Zoom Lion nationwide disinfection exercise in Accra, page 11. It's all about the reopening of schools that's about to happen. And Ghana loses 100 million port revenue, according to the minority. That story is on page 20. We've heard the operators of Unipass say that they've actually made a lot more money, but the minority is disputing that. They're saying 100 million Ghana cedis actually has been lost. And Ghana's confirmed COVID-19 cases hit over 10,000. Most of these the newspapers are reporting on the COVID-19 cases. The banner headline for the Ghanaian Times, though, is Railway Ministry averts disaster at Abofu, moves to safeguard Accra and Sawam Railway from erosion. Story is on page 12. Comes with a picture of Dr. Michael A. Anyete stressing a point during the inspection. And the back page, Zoom Lion disinfects. That story is there as well. AGI donates PPE 10,000 to VRCC. Center spread has that Abofu story. Noguchi poised to become Center of Excellence in Research, Diagnosis, others. And the cases confirmed has Dr. Patrick Abuaje's picture. Then Matthew Poku-Prempeh on the reopening of schools. So that's it for the Ghanaian Times newspaper. Roland.
Well, let me quickly do the daily guide. It has on the front page, we Apostle and Marx after killer threats. We do have varsity's disinfection exercise, also a headline on the front page of the Daily Guide. Alongside that, AG makes case against old register. Today is the 11th of June. I expect that the Supreme Court will come out with the decision. We'll be live from there as well. Make sure you stick and stay. Mahama hints, election 20 rejection. Duncan Williams' son runs amok with sex videos. He has attached an inserted picture with the tag Archbishop Duncan Williams and son on the side. Freddie Blair calls for unity ahead of primaries, and Freddie Blair's picture has been attached as well. On the back page is of football. Neymar hot over mom 23-year-old lover comment. Yeah. And then COVID-19 hits Stoke City Boys, has tested positive after the latest round of testing on Monday. We keep wondering, Charlie, Premier League, we want it back, but some of the owners, players keep testing. Okay. Now let's go to the Finder. The Finder has on the front page, that's the Business Finder. The ADB disburses 23.2 million Ghana cedis to 6 poultry value chain players in the Bono region. That's a good one. Just to 6. Oh, that's a good investment. Of course, we'll pay back. It's not free. ICAMS records 1,452 transactions at land borders, but there's also a paper I read as a press conference.
Is it the what's up the contradictions in the report? Yes,
so we're talking about at the beginning of the week.
Yes, well. and the Ghanaian Times says Ghana loses 100 million port revenue. That's according to the minority, and this one says so
even the freight forwarders section of them also had raised issues in one of those papers as well. Melcom donates 20 boxes of bar soap to 5 health facilities. The story is on page 8 of the paper. And that'll be it for now. Okay, any pick for you? Uncle Ben, which one have you picked for us to discuss? Then we'll go to Inshira also and get his pick.
Well, I think that I would take the Mahama angle that they will go to court. I think that it was unnecessary at this stage.
Why?
The party in power. The party in power, the MPP, has set the tone in 2012. They set the tone in 2012 that if you are dissatisfied, fortunately, the new Chief Justice has promised, he promised during his vetting in Parliament that in the event of an election petition, the longest time that Ghanaians will be held spellbound will be 42 days, not 240 days. So definitely the party in power has set the tone, and I think that that reminder at this stage, it creates the impression that you are already trying to find fault because you are going to lose. I mean, if somebody of a lower pedigree within the party structure has said it, they are allowed to do that. But the flag bearer and virtual leader of the party, I believe that it would have been better said by somebody else. Because we know that if you have a problem, you go to court.
And I remember that election petition case, and importantly, what the Chief Justice at the time said, also some of the key justices. You take a look at Justice Atuguba and some of his recommendations as utterances at the time gave an indication that it is important for the key stakeholders to play important roles in ensuring that their followers also tend to follow through what their speeches tend to portray. So because of the mass following that they have, there's a lot of circumspection that is needed. But the question also is, it has to be a level playing field for all. If the concerns are being raised, it also means these concerns have to be accommodated. Don't you think, Inshira?
Hi, Inshira, can you hear us?
Yeah, I can hear you now.
Yeah, that question...
Terribly sorry, I was...
All right, go ahead.
I didn't catch the question. Could you repeat it, or can I just go ahead with the story?
Basically, the Chief Justice at the time, and indeed one of the main justices...
said that we're looking at a shorter turnaround this time around if we have to go to court because of an election. That for me is a good thing. But beyond that, I think that what Mr. Epstein said makes quite a lot of sense. The party hierarchy of the new the National Democratic Congress is deep enough to have other people do what you say, for the lack of a better expression, the dirty work. That the office of the former president and lead for going into the 2020 election must be something that should be kept above certain kinds of engagements. And so you would have expected that the party's communication structures would have been deployed to do that. In actual fact, Elvis Efriankra has been quoted as saying that the NDC will be filing a barrage of cases in the court against the EC. So they already pent on going to court and seeking legal redress where they find that they've not been treated well. And their main concern at the moment, even before the election, has to do with the fact that the majority voted to use the Ghana card as well as the passport as the source document to verify and authenticate the citizenship of people who want to register to vote in 2020 election. Now, this has raised quite a lot of concerns amongst lots of people. Not everyone has a passport. Not everybody has been able to register for the Ghana card.
Yeah.
And those who only have the previous registration card from the Electoral Commission as a proof of their citizenship now may feel that they will be disenfranchised. And I think that the NDC feels there is some legal basis on which they can go to court. If that's the case, I mean, we will all wait to see how they do that.
Yeah.
But I agree, certain positions and utterances and communication must go through the party's communication hierarchy. Okay. And the flag bearer should stick to, telling us what he wants to do differently if given the chance to run the administration of this country.
Yeah. Right. Speaking about the Ghana cards, there's a cartoon here in the Daily Guide. Someone is sleeping and apparently snoring. And then someone is standing by and saying, emeritus, some people, they expect them are cards. Others too, they wait for capture. I don't know the point that's been made here, but it looks like someone is sleeping. That's the point that's been communicated. My pick for today, by the way, is not really necessarily a pick, but I'm just doing a bit of comparison here. I'm looking at the banner headline of the Daily Graphic. It says, we're committed to peace, and that's coming from the commemoration of the NDC's anniversary yesterday, former President John Mahama speaking. But then it adds, in the sub-headline that, but won't accept flawed elections, and it's attributed to John Mahama. I find it interesting how the Daily Guide also reports it. The Daily Guide says, Mahama hints election 2020 rejection. And that story is on page 3. Uncle Ben, you are a veteran in this business. I am just doing a bit of comparison, and I'm looking at going into an election where everybody is calling for peace. And I'm looking at the angles at which, from which journalists tell stories, and what we can learn from past experiences going forward and going into this election that obviously has high stakes, and we've seen all the issues that are coming up.
Please come again. I couldn't hear. There was a bit of distraction. Please come again.
I'm saying that I'm doing a little bit of comparison. Instead of doing a pick, I'm looking at how the Daily Graphic reported what former President John Mahama said, and I'm looking a bit at how the Daily Guide also reported it. I find it interesting as let's say a journalism student, and I'm looking, and then a development student as well. It says we're committed to peace, but won't accept flawed elections, John Mahama. So essentially, it provides, sort of the other side, the both sides. On what Mr. Mahama said. Then the Daily Guide says, Mahama hints election 2020 rejection. I find it a bit interesting, and I'm saying that you are a veteran in this business, so I'm interested to pick your thoughts on it. And I'm doing this in a context of going into an election where the stakes are high, everybody's calling for peace, and we always do this. And I just want to pick your thoughts on that.
See, Gifty, remember, in fact, in today's issue, we are still running, if we do down memory lane, you see, if you look at the 2010 population census, as at 2010, 79.8% of Ghanaians were below 40 years as at 1981. We have a very young population. So I do that memory lane to jog people's mind. Looking, at least I've been very much involved since 1992. I'm writing my 6th book. So humbly speaking, when people are speaking or they are threatening, I tend to caution them. I watch the statements I make, because, look, in 2020, I hope that the police administration will make it clear that if somebody decides to go and pick a ballot box and starts running, I'm not saying they should kill anybody. I think they should aim at the legs. But if you are wearing zigzag, the rest I won't continue. Statements by such people, elderly people, tends to inside. You see, I find Samuel Oku's statement in the Statesman very interesting. The fantasy will say, Samuel Oku, if he goes to play back some of his utterances in the position, they were the same as the NDC folks are doing. And we need to bear in mind that God has blessed us. I mean, this 2020 election, this issue of register, let my vote count, were more vociferous in their demonstrations up to 2016 elections. Now, when in January I said the NDC should go to court, that they've done now, they chose to do it the other way around. If demonstrations, Gifty and Roland, did not change Salatose's mind, what made the NDC think that by demonstrating it will change Jim Mensah's mind? Yes, you can have an avalanche of court cases. You see, once man has learned to shoot without missing, the bird has learned to fly without perching. Now that you Elvis Afrianka, you've said this, the judges don't live in isolation. Yes, I think that Mama Yarega is going to file another case concerning the use of birth certificates. So you've indicated your plan already. I'm sure that today, I'll be surprised if today is 11th, if by the end of this month, that is after 2 weeks, once the Supreme Court, I believe, decides on whether the EC is right in using the old voters register, they can file every day. The EC will continue with this thing, and the processes will start.
Yeah.
So utterances, and mind you, everywhere you have people who will just be paid to cause mayhem. So we need to be very careful, and the politicians need to watch their tongue. I'm sure many of them have got tickets in case of something to leave the country.
Well, we're praying that at that time.
They can fly now.
Well, I'm praying that at that time the
ban will still be enforced.
No. We want the ban to go away. I mean, we want coronavirus to go away. But it's coronavirus has shown clearly that if you don't build your house, you won't have anywhere to hide when a disaster falls. So, Uncle, very interesting. I like to always bring this up because of. It looks to me like COVID has overshadowed all the efforts that we usually put in pushing for peace ahead of elections. And so I like to bring it up all the time. Roland, shall we do My Joy Online?
Yeah, definitely. We have to do myjoyonline.com.
Oh, I must say, though, that we've, Inshura joined us, but he has had to quickly, join another discussion.
Okay, and so we'll do myjoyonline.com on stream. We have it there. This is not the time to compile new voters register. Domahini to Electoral Commission.
And yesterday we understood that I think it's the National House of Chiefs, they're not really excited about the Electoral Commission's position. They thought that they had, indicated certain things that haven't been taken into consideration, so they felt disrespected by the Electoral Commission. That's the story we brought you as well. If you scroll all the way up, there are still a lot more stories for you to take a look at myjoyonline.com. 157 new cases bring Ghana's COVID-19 tally to 10,358. Wow. And man sues state for 5 million cedis over death of his wife 20 months after marriage. That's very painful. Security operatives didn't plan to read on Apostle Kobne J. That's according to Seta Champon, the chairperson of the Parliament's Committee on Defense and Interior. Please pray for us. Archbishop Duncan Williams appeals after some social media outburst. We'll be having a discussion about, mental health as well. The minority MPs condemn Rambo-style arrest of Apostle Kwabena and landlords threatened to evict health workers over fears of contracting COVID-19. That's the story we did as well. But it's a stigmatization being meted out to people who are helping us fight this disease. And finally, hundreds of South Korea schools close again after reopening. That's why we have to be extra careful. Learn from these countries, the examples of these countries. We don't need to reinvent the wheel. As we try to open up, we need to be very careful. Finally, police blame Santasi resident intrusion, quote unquote, for escape of 4 suspected robbers. We have those stories and more at myjoyonline.com if you do click on it. I encourage you to click, share, click, share, click, share. Let people know what's happening. So that's it for the myjoyonline.com. Do we still have...
yeah,
okay.
We'll go to BBC Africa. We have a couple of stories there, streaming live, Africa Live. Tortured Zimbabwe politicians charged. Something you would always say in Africa, yeah. Politicians, yeah. Okay.
We see our president is there.
Yeah, how Ghana paid tribute to George Floyd. And you know, there's during the funeral,
yeah,
the family and some of the obituaries that were read subsequently. Indeed,
obituary?
Some of the tributes that were read subsequently paid recognition to Ghana's effort, but more so the president's own.
It was just interesting how they mentioned the president's name, though.
Aku, then
they said Nana Aku,
and then they subsequently settled on
Akuado. And I'm wondering, well, please, it's not
President Aku.
I don't know how. I don't know if the way it was written or something.
Maybe somebody just got it.
I'm not sure. It's Akufu Ado. Thank you. Next time, please get the name of, but we really are in this together.
And then we have a couple of stories there. BBC launching tool to tackle fake news, or tool to tackle fake news in Africa. We also have launched it right here on Joy News, and you could always get all the latest updates. You go up there, you have a couple of stories there. But Uncle Ben, we have to leave you, but just a word on the subject of how George Floyd and the solidarity that the movement has taken, not only from the United States through Europe now to Africa, particularly Ghana. Okay.
In the end, you know, when it started a few weeks ago, it said that it was the biggest protest in the U.S. In the aftermath of the death of Martin Luther King in 1968. I'm hoping that in trickling down to Africa, we need to be careful that what has happened there in terms of violence will not replicate itself. But I hope for the sake of the U.S. itself, I'm wondering what will happen if there's a police car with 2 blacks and 2 whites, and something like that happens, what the blacks will do. But it's going to change the way race is discussed in this world.
I really hope so.
There's a black police officer, though, who was manhandled, molested, ultimately died in the U.S. because of the riots subsequently.
That's sad.
Black police officer.
That's sad. No need to kill more
9 police
people.
officers who have died.
No need to kill more people. But yeah, certainly, racial disparities have been institutionalized. We know this for sure. And we really need to use this opportunity to clear it out once and for all. So we'll be doing sports. Uncle Ben, I want to wish you a great day. It's always refreshing to see you in the morning. And so have a great day.
Thank you. The same to you. The gang of 2.
But this is my last week, though. So I'll be calling you behind the scenes instead.
All right. Thank you very much.
All right. Thank you, too. So, Roland will be doing the sports right after this, but I do have a quick dedication to Atakuma Mensah. Mr. Atakuma Mensah, he's the Accra Regional Director of the DVLA. Thank you so much. He's a really nice guy, and I hope that you meet him one day. He's a really nice guy.
Okay. It's also the birthday, and this one is coming from our own Raymond Akwasedin, this from Amanoni. Rafiq Mahama, you're a special aide to the CEO for Engineers and Planners Company Limited, and you're also a special aide to Ibrahim Mahama, the shareholder of that company. It's also your son's birthday, and you say he's 1 today. Eric Owusu, you are a great designer for designs in Kumasi, Royal for Designs in Kumasi. I say good morning to you and have a great day with your son. And Koji Yankson, it's your birthday.
Good morning,
brother.
man. Oh wow! I want to see how he's dressed today.
Yeah.
You know, Kojo likes to look good and look smart and look sharp. Yo. So Kojo Yankson, I hope that you see this video. He's on the radio this morning, so I hope that you see this video later. Big ups to you, man. Yeah. And okay. And also, good morning. Before we go quickly, good morning to Kwabna Sika Mensa at McCarthy Hills. He watched this show every day. Thank you for watching. Get more people watching as well.
Fantastic. Well, we'll have to take a break. When we come back, we'll have the latest sports headlines right here for you.
All right.
Time to talk sports here on AM Show. I'm Benedict Ose. It's a Thursday morning, and of course, a lot to look forward to this morning as we build up to the start of the Spanish La Liga. There is start of the Spanish La Liga. There's a big program coming up tonight. PM Express, my colleague Gary R. Smith will host some great guests. We'll look at the return of football, something we've all been waiting for. And of course, in today's program, we started on a local scene. Asante Kotoko board chairman Dr. Kwame Chia has dissolved the management of the club. Now, what it means is that the management led by George Amwakun is no more. Now, let's go live to Kumasi and speak to my colleague Kelvin Owusu. Kelvin, thanks so much for joining me. Yesterday, when I spoke to you, it was all about the issue of Manshia telling the new board of directors not to sign new players, at least for a season. And then in the evening, this came up. Is it something you anticipated?
Well, it was a bit surprising. Many never expected that to happen, and for many who were expecting that the new turnaround would take a little bit of time to make sure that everything was set before Kumasi Asante Kotoko would have probably a change in the managerial structure. But I think it was very fair, since the new board will want to set off with earnest. They can't wait. They really want to start with as quickly as possible to make sure things are put in place before even the resumption of the league. So it was very clear that they had to make it known to Dr. Kwame Chia that the old management need to be gotten rid of. But initially, they just wanted to inform them that they've relieved them of their positions, but they were told by the corporate lawyer who is part of the board, Kwame Mensa, Esquire, that they should allow Dr. Kwame Chia to inform the management he formed himself that at this point in time, there is no way that they can continue their duty since the new board have assumed office. So Kwame Chia met them yesterday, and then he spoke to them, telling them that they need to be relieved of their duties, and that management that he set up is no more. And if any other person is interested in getting back to Kumasi Asante Kotoko, they can reapply when the board opens up applications for the new members, whether it's managerial or it could be just the secretariat staff. Any of them could probably apply again and then join Kumasi Asante Kotoko to give their support. So for many, it wasn't really surprising. Some felt that it had been long overdue, this announcement. Since the new board was announced, they should have known that their jobs or their duties were coming to an end.
And in terms of the people that are likely to come in, what are you picking up?
Well, we've picked up a number of them, just as I'm sure it's been widespread that someone like Emmanuel Newton Dasoberi, who is the Club 9 system manager, is being considered as an administrative manager. But you ask yourself, with this tough schedule at CAF and then also Club 9 system manager for the Ghana Football Association, will he take that risk to leave that duty? Take it up. But well, anything is possible. We're just waiting for the managerial setup or the structural framework Kotoko are going to work with. They're also hearing that Yusuf Alas and Chipsa would be retained or will be brought back as the international.
Well, too bad we lost Kelvin there, but obviously he's made a point, so we have to move on. But let's still stay with Kumasi Asante Kotoko, and the Dr. Kwame Chia board has been tasked to build new structures which will get the club back to its glory days. Here is Nana Kofi Bedu, who is Chief of Staff at Manshia.
The simple message from Otunfo to you today, the message that he wishes me to convey to you is that you are starting from ground zero to build new foundations a new structures that will guarantee the sustainable growth of Kotoko in the decades to come. While implementing the academy and training facility complex, you should begin preparations for the development of a Kotoko's own stadium within the shortest possible time. It makes economic sense for the club to own its own stadium, even if some categories of matches will continue to be played at the national stadium.
All right, so away from Kumasi Asante Kotoko, I wouldn't have appointed CK Akonom as Black Stars coach if I were GFA President Kurt Okriku. This is according to former Sports Minister Neil Lante van der Poel. Now, despite the overwhelming support for Coach CK since his appointment, some hold the view that he actually got a job because of his relationship with the FA President. Well, Honorable Neil Lante insists the appointment gives credence to those views. There is more in the following report.
CK Akono's appointment, which was officially announced in January this year, raised questions because of his past working relationship with the GFA president at Dreams FC. Few months ago, the GFA president, Kurt Okriku, at a Meet the Press session, said he no longer owned a stake in the sports marketing company, Proton Sports Services, a part of his business many claim managed the former Black Stars captain.
No, I don't manage Charles Akono, and I don't manage any coach in Ghana. I've had relationships with loads of people in the industry. I have known Charles Akono because he also worked at Dreams FC before, just like he's worked in Ashanti Gold, Kotoko, 11 Wise, etc., etc. So I don't manage Charles Akono, and I don't manage any coach in this country.
Despite his comments, former Youth and Sports Minister Neil Lante van der Poel believes CK should not have been named as the Black Stars coach for fear of conflict of interest.
Left to me alone, I think Kurt shouldn't have made that appointment with a sort of thinking that people within football have. People know, people have said that he manages CK Akono as a person. So it is wrong. It's marks of conflict of interest to have made CK Akono the coach of the national team. To some extent, I would tend to agree with them, with those people. I have no problem with Kurt deciding who should be the coach, and I have no problem with CK Akono being the coach in the first place. But for the perception and the whole idea that he's on the books of Kurt as manager, as partner, it's marks of conflict, and that is what people are not happy about.
He further called for zero interference on player selection on the part of the FA.
Is the appointing authority not going to exercise any influence over him? It's one of the questions we ask. If the GFA president has a management company which is managing the players, some players, and also managing the coach, there's the tendency that in one way or the other, players who are on the books of that sporting management company or agency will have some undue favoritism, as compared to other players who have nobody. I think the best players should always be called to the national team. The coach should have the right to call the best. Nobody should influence the coach.
Akono has been tasked to win the African Cup of Nations next year.
Well, we have to bring you up to speed. We will have a discussion on the subject of the political landscape, the preparation of the parties, and the relevant concerns that have been raised, not only by the NDC, but civil society about the register, but the Electoral Commission also going ahead with the new registration exercise as we have it. The National Identification Authority just on Wednesday also started the sharing of identity cards of registrants across the country. But let's bring you the latest update of our case count of COVID-19, relevant care and treatment of patients. Already, we're just getting the news live. The treatment centers in the capital are almost full. That is compelling various hospital authorities that have been designated to be at the forefront of the treatment to now be sending cases of COVID-19 outside the Greater Accra metropolis, outside the region of Greater Accra into other regions like Central. And then we need to ask the critical question. We'll go straight to the Ghana Health Service. We have the Director General who will be online with us. Alongside our discussion, we'll bring you up to speed with the latest case count as we have it on the Ghana Health Service website that has specially been designated for coronavirus. And already the case count as we have it from start to date is 10,358 formally, but we also do have the active cases because you need to do the deductions of the recoveries of 3,824, the fatalities of 48 so far, and then you get the active cases of some 6,400. Now, Dr. Patrick Boaje, Director General of the Ghana Health Service, is online. Good morning to you, sir. Good morning, Dr. Boaje. Good morning, Dr. Patrick Boaje.
Good morning. I'm on the road, so the network is not so good. I hope you'll be able to hear me.
It's a bit faint, but we'll try and technically see what we can do about it. But if you can also position...
Can you hear me now? Is it better?
Yes, it is better than previously. So we're just getting the reports that the centers are getting full for treatment. Has that also come to your notice? Well, as you...
Hello?
Yes, please. Can you hear me? Can you hear me, Doctor? Well, we'll have to, again, re-establish that connection. But again, we'll bring you up to speed while we do the technical re-establishment of the phone lines with the Director General of the Ghana Health Service, Dr. Patrick Boaje, and bring you up to date with the case counts. The active cases we have 6,000. We'll put that on the screens for you. And also get you up to speed with the up-to-date case count. So the active cases are 6,486. We have recovery so far, 3,824, 48 fatalities recorded, and it's still Greater Accra with the huge number of cases so far countrywide. And well, already what we do know is that 157 new cases bring the tally now to the number we have up to date. And the main epicenters, definitely Greater Accra region with some 6,642 up to date, and the Ashanti region following with 1,799, Western region 778. Now let's get back onto the phone line. Dr. Patrick Boaje, Director General Ghana Health Service, is online. Good morning to you, sir.
Good morning.
Now, great. Now, we have gotten consistent reports, not only from our reporters, but even health staff of the various centers that are doing, taking care of patients, the treatment centers, and they're saying the treatment centers in Accra are full. Has that come to your notice as Director General of the Ghana Health Service?
That the centers are getting full.
Yes, almost full.
No, I mean, there are two sides. We have the treatment centers and we have the isolation centers. In Accra, we have two main isolation centers. PCC serves a couple of regions, Central, Eastern, and Greater Accra. It has a capacity, it has a bigger capacity, but because of social distancing, we have a social capacity of 600, but we currently have about 480 people currently on admission there. The other centers in Accra, I know that somewhere last week, there were, and on a couple of days, there were an increasing number of cases that came in, but that has stopped. Currently, I can speak for Ghana East. Out of the 100-bed capacity, we have 52 people there now. So there is an increase, but there's not a sustained surge. And so I wouldn't say it's overwhelmed. Yes, there may have been a few increased number of cases of critically ill patients, as you have seen in the in the situation update. But I wouldn't put it that we are overwhelmed. That I would put it that way.
On a personal level, I've had enormous interactions over the last 12 hours with a number of personnel at the Tema General Hospital, for example, and also a key personnel at Amasaman or the Ghana East Hospital also did make some of those concerns known to me on the personal level. Would you say that those health personnel are flouting the guidelines and regulations? And if they're raising these concerns, these are not genuine concerns?
Oh, I'm looking at the figures that is there. I think we have 100 bed capacity. There has been a time where the East has been full before. But as of the last report that I have, we have 62 patients there. It may change, may go down, may go up, because they're very transient. People are discharged, people are not admitted. But I wouldn't. We do not have any inclination now that there's such a major stage that we are overwhelmed. No, we are trying to restructure to ensure that we put more critical cases in the UGMC, and those are some of the arrangements that's going on. But it's not. I wouldn't say that we are, and we have capacity, Tema, Range, other places. So cases are moved around. If one place is full, others are moved out. We may have a 4 or 5 bed capacity at Tema General Hospital, which may be full, and which is usually so because it's a small place. But then others are moved to where there's space.
Is it not true that we've been moving cases to the central region over the last 24, 36 as well as 48 hours?
From where?
Accra.
From Accra to
the central region.
Well, like I'm saying, if those are clinical decisions, maybe for some 1 or 2 reasons, may not because there's no space or there's no capacity to manage them in Accra. We can have a case in Salaga. The person says, I live in Tamale, send me to Tamale. I don't have any major reports to that effect that we are deliberately moving patients from Accra to Cape Coast because Accra is full. No.
If the health personnel at some of these centers, the hospitals, are expressing some of these concerns, would you say they are flouting guidelines to expressing their concerns?
Nobody is God. If there are issues, they can talk about it. They can bring it to attention of management to address. We have the case management, head of the case management, Dr. Ali Samba, who will be able to address any of such concerns. Maybe somebody may not understand some of the new restructuring that is probably going on in terms of case management. The teams out there trying to organize and be more efficient. So nobody's flouting any rules by telling you that we are full or we are not full. We are not gagging anybody from doing that. But I know for a fact from the medical director of Ghana East the number of patients who are there, and I know the capacity. Yes, last week there was a little increase, but it stopped. And that's what happens in all hospitals. Normally, you use the weekly average to see whether we are having a case or not. Periodically, you have a few more cases coming in, but it has to be sustained to look at that.
Very interestingly, we're in the 4th day of the working week, and it looks like your site that gives us a regular update doesn't do the daily post or updates. Any particular
Which one is that? I think what you're talking about, what you're quoting is the 8th of June, isn't it? This morning, another one will be posted. From the latest one will be posted. So we're doing daily posts. I don't know whether you're checking. We're doing every day.
And then
we have not done press briefing this week, but we've done daily posts.
Why haven't you done press briefings this week, sir?
Well, there are other COVID matters that we are trying to focus on, the easing, the protocols and things, and that's what I believe the Minister of Information is trying to manage. But we will be providing updates periodically.
The up-to-date case count is in excess of 10,300. Of course, the active one is 6,400 in excess. We should be worried, shouldn't we?
Well, I mean, as for the numbers, it's never going to come down. As for the cumulative numbers, it's never going to come down. It's always going to go up. What we should be concerned ourselves with the active cases. The active cases are people who are positive. Either they are in isolation centers, which form the bulk of the numbers, and we also have those who are sick in hospital. Those are the ones that form the active case. Those are the ones that need attention. We take out all those who have recovered, and unfortunately, those we have lost out of them, and so focusing on those active cases, and that's what we are dealing with. A significant number of them are asymptomatic, are in isolation centers. We have some corporate bodies who we know we've had some workplace outbreaks, and that is what has presented some of the seemingly increasing numbers of positivity because of those isolated, confined outbreaks in workplaces. Some of them have, under our watch, are putting them in hotels, and they are being isolated, and they are being cared for. So that's what we need to really concern ourselves with, the active cases and not the cumulative numbers of cases that will continue to go up, just like the global one now.
Well, thank you very much. Dr. Patrick Kumar-Boaje is Director General for the Ghana Health Service. Thank you for your time. We're grateful right here on the AM show. But it's where you get the latest update. And on COVID-19, we have the up-to-date cases from start to date, and then we have the active cases, and we brought that to you. But make sure that you stay with us, because we have relevant discussions also alongside the one we just treated, and it's on the electioneering, the politics of the time, and how we're preparing as a country towards the elections. We have on stream Dr. Kwesi Amache-Boateng, who is a political scientist, senior political science lecturer at the Kwame Nkrumah University of Science and Technology, and Dr. Kwame Asante is also a senior political science lecturer with the Political Science Department in the University of Ghana. And we have a number of discussions to have with them, and among the issues would be the current debate, especially being raised by the NDC, relevant concerns. Just yesterday or Wednesday, we had the Domahini raising related issues about the posture of the Electoral Commissioner and then also the lack of interaction that they have. We'll do that now. And Dr. Kwesi Amache-Boateng, thank you for joining us for the show. And then Dr. Kwame Asante, also thank you for joining us. Dr. Sante, are you on stream? Okay, we'll have to make sure you put on your sound there. We'll technically do that, but we have to again tell you what is the latest. We'll take an insert from Elvis Free-Ankrap, who is the Director of Elections, the NDC, and had an interaction right here on the show, tells you the great content we're providing, and Gifty Ando Apia asked him some relevant questions. We'll play some of these related issues with you, and then also get you up to speed with all the other concerns that have been raised over the period. Now we'll have the insert of Elvis Free-Ankrap, but please get interactive. We have Facebook Join News on TV. We also do have a Twitter handle, and let us know what you think as you touch base with us through myjoinline.com, where you get all the latest updates, and also Join News TV, official YouTube channel. But let's bring you that insert from Elvis Free-Ankrap.
It's going to be complex because you need to fill forms. It will make the process delay, and therefore it will make the entire process more difficult. So we're saying that it will be extremely impossible for the EC to register 17 million people plus within a month. It's a practical impossibility in a rainy season in a COVID-19 era. By the time we are finished, God forbid, the infection rate would have jumped to 100,000.
And that's a point that the NDC has started making. In fact, your minority in Parliament has started making this morning.
We've been saying this right from get-go.
And well, it's now coming from Parliament. The angle that this is going to create more.
It's been one of the reasons. It's been one of the reasons that we've articulated.
That they're going to observe all the protocols.
It still does not. It doesn't make sense. On your screens right now, you're seeing people gathered to go and register. Okay.
No, you are seeing that here, but we did put that on at the point. Those are old ratios anyway.
Yeah, exactly. Right. We know how registration occurs in this country. If you talk about 25 people within the perimeter, you can have control of people within the perimeter. But what about outside the perimeter? If you're doing 6 days of registration in a cluster, people will come the first day by their so-called pilot or demonstration. Only 40, 50 people will be able to register. The next day, the number will increase exponentially. By the third or fourth day, there is going to be chaos. Okay. This is not a prophecy.
You're going to give me a particular legal
42
basis.
says every citizen of 18 years of some has a right to vote and is entitled. You see the language, the right to vote. So that right, you can decide not to exercise. But when it comes to registration, it is your entitlement. And therefore, the state, which is the Electoral Commission paid by us, must put in place every measure, systems, mechanisms, processes, and procedures to ensure that that right is exercised. Then quickly, 45.
I need to wrap up.
45, quick one. The Electoral Commission shall have the following functions: to compile the register of voters and revise it at such periods as may be determined by law. But what people are not paying attention to undertake programs for the expansion of the registration of voters. You ask yourself, by these measures that have been put in place, by these unreasonable measures, will it lead to an expansion of the registration of voters? The answer is no. Okay. Many people do not have their Ghana card. Many people do not have passports. The process of guaranteeing is going to make it very cumbersome. And if you look at the demographics from Bono all the way up, it's incredible if you look at the numbers. And imagine a situation where we had 17 million people on the voters roll, and because of the EC's own intransigence, they go ahead and do this COVID-19, and then at the end of the day, you have less people on the register.
So you're looking to challenge this new law?
Oh, we will do whatever it takes, and because it's just not. We want peace in this country. Electoral disputes have led to serious consequences in other countries, and we don't want that to happen. And that is why we keep on talking to the citizens. And thank God, many more people are supporting our position. Many more people have seen that the EC is being unreasonable, is being arbitrary, and we have Supreme Court cases, we have precedents, and we are confident that at the end of the day, the will of the people will prevail.
And we have Dr. Kwame Asante, the Political Science Department of the University of Ghana, and with the Department of History and Political Studies at Kwame Nkrumah University of Science and Technology, Dr. Kwesi Amache-Boateng. And I start with you, Dr. Asante. If you do a recall, just over the last month or two, there were concerns about the current state because of coronavirus, and that ultimately could affect the compilation of a new voters register. The Electoral Commission has now come forward with a roster. Ultimately, we're having this starting close of the month. Now, what do you make of the decision, first place, taken by the Electoral Commission to go ahead?
Please. Can you ask the question again?
So we're compiling a new voters register. What do you make of the decision to still go ahead with it in the first place by the Electoral Commission, Dr. Kwame Asante?
You know, this conversation has gone on for some time now. It started before this COVID-19 problem. And there were two positions on this. The Electoral Commission saying that we are going ahead with the compilation of new voter registers, and then the NDC and other people saying that, no, why don't you make use of the old one? My view about it is that if you look at the way the process has gone, one gets the feeling that there's a time for Electoral Commission to listen to the conversation in town. Simply because, if you recall, at the beginning of this whole process, the Electoral Commission assured us that it was in a position to, as it were, do election for district assemblies and then also carry on with the referendum. And then the referendum was withdrawn, and they went ahead to conduct the district assembly election. So one would have thought that Electoral Commission was in a position to be able to... Hello?
Yeah, please go ahead, Dr. Asante.
Yeah. One would have thought that the Electoral Commission was in a position to continue the exercise because they were even ready for two exercises, for district assembly and then for referendum. And then the referendum was withdrawn. Then in no time, Electoral Commission came back that, no, I can't continue. You have to register people afresh and to start the process again. And that, for me, is where the problem lies. That you have assured us that you will be able to do the two exercises, district assemblies and then referendum. And now we were not able to do the referendum. So it presupposes that you'll be able to carry on with the second exercise if we're given the opportunity. So the U-turn all of a sudden is where the problem lies. And that has brought us this far. So I believe that it's about time Electoral Commission sat down quietly and listened to conversation and reflect on that, and then be able to take a decision that will help all of us. That's my initial comment.
Do I have Dr. Machibuati on stream as well? Okay. Now, there's a particular concern, and that was raised by Dr. Emmanuel Akwete, the Executive Director for the Institute for Democratic Governance, right here on the show the last week. And he was saying the Electoral Commission was not forthcoming with a lot of communication, not just its communication officers, but the top hierarchy, to give credibility to its information and the processes and to the public. What do you say to that? Dr. Asante, can you hear me?
Yeah, please, once again, if you can come up.
There's a concern raised by, here on the show, Dr. Emmanuel Akwete. He is the Executive Director for IDEC. He did raise issues about how communication was not forthcoming from the top hierarchy of the Electoral Commission to give credence to information, the processes, and their program of activities for the electorate and for the population. What do you say to that?
Yeah, this issue has come up time and again. I was at a studio with one of the, I think the political party's reps, i.e. the MPP and NDC. And this thing came up. And the NDC rep was saying that there are lots of information that the Electoral Commission has not been able to provide for them. But their other colleagues, that's the MPP, they have the information. This thing has been argued and then challenged and all that. But if that is the case, then it's very unfortunate, because for election to be accepted as free and fair, one of the basic things that as a commission we have to do is to be able to allow free flow of information, and then that feeds into the principle of where you create equal playing field for everybody. You don't need to make it impossible for one stakeholder not to have information whilst another one has it. That is a difficulty. And these are some of the things that raise eyebrow when we talk about free and fair elections. So I believe strongly that if this is the case now, then Electoral Commission must quickly address it and then be able to instill confidence in the system so that the stakeholders who are in the process will accept the process and they will be able to defend it at any time. Let us remember, one of the rules under free and fair election is that after everything, the loser of election must accept defeat and abide by the rules of the game. And if these things the situation that we have on our hand now, then we are likely to have a difficulty when it comes to the time for people to accept defeat and congratulate those who have won the election. And if this is the case, I believe strongly, it is not late for the Electoral Commission to rectify so that we can have an equal playing field for all the stakeholders.
Now, that saying, if you analyze the issues being raised on one side, whether it's the MPP, Imani, the rest of civil society, and the concerns that also have been raised, whether we needed to compile a new voters register or not, and the other side being the Electoral Commission, going alongside the position of the Electoral Commission, the MPP, that, look, we need a new one because we need a clean register. What ideally is your own observation that the Electoral Commission needed to carry on in itself before making that final decision?
I believe that you need to conduct election in a very free and less or no tense atmosphere, so to speak. So if these are things that will bring tension and these are things that will affect the credibility of the election, it is in the interest of the Electoral Commission itself and the interest of this whole country to be able to come to terms with this and accept the busy way of doing it. And the busy way is that you're listening to the concerns from different groups and then you'll be able to advise yourself. If you watch the way the process has gone on so far, you will realize that there is one thing that is a border to all of us, and it's the issue of this COVID-19 pandemic. We are worried because we don't know when this disease will end and all that. But within this space, we need to conduct election. And how do we balance this up with the electoral processes that we have, which we need to observe and at the same time observe the COVID-19 protocol. And that is the difficult balancing that we have now. And I'm sure that is where people are coming from, telling the Electoral Commission that, hey, slow down and let us see if you can make do with the old register so that you limit the chances of people acquiring or getting infected by the disease that we have on our hands. And that is where the Electoral Commission seems to have deviated a little bit, that is not trying to play ball with those who argue on these lines. Because what's the point for me to go and register and at the end of the day, I get infected? What is the point that the same register that has been used for a number of elections and is there, and you, before this time, you promised us that the register will be able to use this for two exercises, for district assembly elections and also for referendum, and the referendum was withdrawn. If that is the case, then there is every reason to believe that there is one opportunity that the register can also help us in taking advantage of, and that is what the 2020 election. So what has changed? And when you put all these things together, you realize that I think the Electoral Commission must reflect on this and be able to go with the old register and move on. Because if you listen to those who have spoken about this, they are well-meaning Ghanaians, people who, it's not because of politics, but they really love this country, they want things to go on well, and so forth and so on. So, Electoral Commission should not feel, slighted that, look, what I said earlier on, I am now changing my position and all that. There's no defeat in that. All that you want to do is to do something that will stand the test of time and then continue to bring peace to this country. So I believe strongly that Electoral Commission, in the midst of this COVID-19 pandemic, the best way out for us is to be able to have the old register used for this election so that you will be able to reduce the tension, the pressure in this country. Then we move on. There's nothing wrong with that at all.
As we wind up the conversation, let me just tease you with an insight from the Domahene. And the Domahene is also the paramount chief of the Doma area in the Bono region, or Sajifu Osiadeyo Ajimambedu II, and he had this to say. Just listen carefully, and after that, I want you to respond to some key question.
Electoral Commission. Yeah. National House of Chiefs, Frebe. Yeah. Samumbra, Yanto Wano. And then I am Tassia, na young Machreum. Na of Frebe. Said Name of a cordia made a minion. And I'm some national house of chiefs. But the Bibiaba abonting. Abeka ho asem se bi obenhwe yi se be ya emfa oye ne bi nyede emma National House of Chiefs ye dabase na mom menko agema be antoso mienu de na okurani be chare ho dodo asase wura ne ho what a chick so be fresa bi jamensa no lo independent Constitution be a subject subject ni kese bibi twa bibim na ahemfo akuni nini na be good National House of Chiefs na be fraud women call to the sense that be issue statement after a long time na no why ade so ho chere na me na agima be do the second ya na nya president na nkadodo no form so a nka meka se o ma yes asase so ya ma on register nipa no na matie nipa na all dene san timagwam se do ma hene na lo baba ba chem se o baba ba to mrante na mom ne ba kana oye awura no mesre no as a matter of urgency show of respect ya na nanom buo ya wo mabe as custodians of ya mamre ne sabio baby abetinti Mesre Electoral Commissioner Mamino, men in front of Roma. No mom Kumasi House of Chiefs. As a so quan at Twaba. Cause I'm Chilebuo. On your all in all. Ye to me no Fabini upon the Amano. Yes, I said Yakase Mamma as well. Watch him. What would a man about that? Not a man of better.
It looks like, I won't say about it, it's a very straightforward position of a strong traditional chief. What do you make of this statement by by the Domahini, Dr. Kwame Asante?
Yeah, what the chief said is nothing but is expressing the concerns of some section of people in this country. That is a fact. That they are worried about the process and that they think that if we go the Electoral Commission continues to go on this tangent, you are likely to have difficulties. I think, in summary, that is what the king is trying to put across. But that brings us to this issue of when we say an election is free and fair. There are a lot of things that go into it. But what will make it flawed is you have a number of issues. When they come up, then you are likely to be at that particular end. One is that for election to be free and fair, or for election to be credible, you need equal playing field for all the party stakeholders and all that. So you ask yourself, what this process, the way we are going, will it create that enabling environment for us to ensure that all the stakeholders they have equal playing field to be able to contest for the election, and then we get to the end. Another thing is that is the management of the election. We need an important component of the whole process, and it must be done properly. The management starts from now up to the day of voting and even beyond. Political scientists have identified 3 phases in elections, where we have what the pre-election phase, the during election phase, and the post-election phase. For the pre-election phase, there are things you need to do. You need to register people. You need to avail the register to political parties to check whether the names in there are correct and they represent the people and all that. And you need to do certain, processes, procure materials, get them ready for the D-Day. On the D-Day, that is the during election phase. You need, the Electoral Commission must be able to have all its men on the ground to be able to prosecute the agenda of what? Allowing people to vote and vote well. And then after which, the Electoral Commission is supposed to declare results. All these things, you need transparency to come in. You don't need to hide information from anybody. You don't need to deny people the opportunity to see the process or to verify the process and all that. And another thing that will also lead to a flawed election is when the rules of the game are thrown to the door. There are rules governing the whole process of election. And that is what supposed to guide the whole process so that people will have confidence in them. Remember, rules and laws are nothing but what? The instrument that regulates human conduct and instill what? Confidence in the people. And the last of it is what? The players of the game must also accept defeat when they lose the election and abide by the rules of the game. All that we are saying is that if we want to ensure free and fair elections and want to prevent any flawed election from happening, then these things must be held intact. For me, my consolation is that one of the issues, the contending issue, is the issue of who qualifies to the issue that the electoral NDC has sent to court. The good news is that today Supreme Court will speak, and when they speak, Supreme Court speaks on it. For me, the matter comes to hand. So let us rest in the hope that the court will speak today, and when they speak, all these noise that we are hearing will just be a thing of the past. It is my hope and prayer that we get to that destination, so that we go to this election with hope and confidence that whoever is in the process and they are part of the doubting Thomases will be able to say that, yes, initially we doubted the process, but at the end we accept the result, and this country can move on from that direction.
Oh, thank you very much. Great insight into our current state as we prepare for the elections. And please stay with us. We will bring you all that live update from the courts. And Dr. Kwame Asante is a political science lecturer with the Political Science Department of the University of Ghana. And of course, we need voters to be a mainstay of the election. If they're not in the right state of mind, their mental health is not up to speed, it also poses great danger to the credibility of the elections. And talking about mental state is a big conversation we want to have. And Gifty, we need to have this, don't we?
We certainly do. And if you throw all of that, you throw COVID-19 in the mix, it gets even more complex. So we'll be having that conversation with the experts. We may not be able to cover everything, but it will give you the foundation, it will give you an understanding, and it will give you the awareness, which is what essentially we intend to do here. So I'll be engaging Dr. Eugene Dodoi, who is head of Department of the Psychological Medicine and Mental Health, UHAS. Also, Dr. Ruth Uswenchi, who is head of psychiatry, Komfo-Anokye Teaching Hospital, vice president of the Psychiatric Association of Ghana. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for your time this morning.
Thank you, and good morning.
Thank you. Good morning. Right. So it's good to have you, and I mean, we're well balanced in terms of gender. And I'm saying this because I want to bring an aspect, I want to bring an aspect of family in this particular discussion. First off, I want to start with you, Dr. Dodoi. I want to ask you, when we say mental health, typically, basically, what are we looking at?
Yeah, when I talk about mental health, I mean, it's basically the essence of our being. Okay. Because for you to do whatever you do to contribute to society or to be useful in society, what it means is that your mind is able to help you do what you basically exist to do, what we call your social function. So basically, your social function is what humans exist to do. So if I happen to be a carpenter and a father, if I happen to be a husband and a teacher, so all these are my social functions, and I need a normal mind to be able to perform my social function. So essentially, we talk about mental health as you being able to recognize your potentials and achieve your potentials, live peacefully in society, contribute to society, and more importantly, recognize what are your limitations and what you have, what you can harness in your environment within yourself to overcome these challenges that you may, meaning that all of us are going to experience some stresses in life. So what do we do to overcome these stresses? And when you're able to overcome these stresses, have a peaceful relationship with other people in society, and contribute to society, then we say that you have a good mental health.
So if you're able to contribute to society, we can say that you have a good mental health. A lot of people have said that we don't pay attention to mental health. And I heard that statement yesterday, just in the morning. I'd heard that about 5 times because of things that were happening, which we might be able to get to depending on how much time we have. But Dr. Ruth, I want to find out from you what's the types of mental health problems are, so that we can differentiate them properly. Sometimes we hear that depression is a mental health situation. What are the types, if you can take us through it?
Yes, thank you very much. Whenever we hear the word mental health, I am sure many of us get view or roaming the streets, half naked or in tattered clothes, looking unkempt, sometimes carrying a baggage of rubbish behind them and all that. But the truth is that that kind of picture forms only a minority of the wide range of mental conditions that there are in the world. Mental conditions or mental disorders are classified into many groups, but the very common ones are what we call the psychosis. For instance, the psychosis is the type in which we will see roaming the streets, they are unkempt and all that. They form really the minority. Many of the people who suffer from mental disorders are with us in our offices. They are our doctors, they are nurses, they are our bank managers, our bank tellers, they are the drivers that drive us to Accra, Kumasi in public transport. They are all over, you know. And so there are several forms, and I've said that the psychosis, the group called the psychosis, is what we usually see. But there are others we call the mood disorders, where you would get depression, you get bipolar disorder, you get cyclothymia. We have another group we call the anxiety disorders, where we have the obsessive compulsive disorder, post-traumatic stress disorder, the various phobia. People have fear of flying. They can never use the aircraft to travel to anywhere. They will not survive in the air, in any aeroplane. And so they have an extreme and unusual fear of flying. People have fear of heights. They can hardly go beyond a second floor. These are phobias. We have people go through very traumatic situations and they are not handled well, and they live with post-traumatic stress disorder. These fall under the group we call the anxiety. There are another group we call the substance misuse disorders, where people are dependent on several substances of abuse. It includes alcohol, marijuana, tramadol, and several other substances. It's amazing that people are now abusing all sorts of things: glue, turpentine, and the latest I heard is use sanitary pads. That makes it an illness. That shows that the person is not in their right frame of mind. There are another group of mental disorders we call the personality disorders. One very common one is one we call borderline personality disorder, when people are, for want of a better word, attention seeking. They commit repeated self-harm. So you see these people repeatedly at the ER or at the emergency having harmed themselves just to seek attention, in inverted quotes. Some we call antisocial personality disorder. These are people who will commit repeated crimes and repeated atrocities despite punishment, going to prison and back and all that. There are other childhood and adolescent psychiatric conditions as well. Attention deficits, hyperactive disorder, when children cannot sit at one place, they are jumping all over, and complaints are coming from schools, from neighbors, and all over. There is learning disability. So I can go on and on and on. And so the narrow picture that we see of people just appearing kempt form less than 10% of all the groups of people that suffer from mental illness. You see that many of the others I have mentioned are very well dressed. They are working, although there are some deficits in their output, but there are a wide range of mental disorders that I think the public need a lot of education on, and we are grateful to Joy News for offering your medium to help us do this education
you've given us. And if I want to go through, I mean, if we want to pay attention to the list and break it down, I don't think we will finish the show right now. And I want you to briefly do this for me. What are the cases that are most prevalent in Ghana among the majority of people? Of course, psychosis, you have said, is just a minority of the people. But in terms of the list that you've given us, give us the most common and one that affects the majority of people briefly so that I can go to Dr. Dodoy with others.
Yes, so in fact, the ones I went through are what are the common ones we have in the country. Okay. But specifically conditions like depression is one of the common conditions we see in the country. Anxiety disorders, and if I'm to take the common 5 disorders, mental disorders, I'll take anxiety disorders, I'll take depression, I'll take schizophrenia, I'll take bipolar disorder, and then substance misuse disorder. These 5 will be what we commonly see in the country.
Okay, interesting. Dr. Dodoy, let me bring you in here. What are the early signs, if there are, for you to know that I live with this person and he's starting to do this and that? That's something that he doesn't usually do. How do I know that this person is generating some level of mental disorder? Okay, Dr. Dodoy, I can't hear you. Let's see if we can work this out again. Have you clicked on your mute?
Hello.
Oh, right. Okay. Perfect.
So you can hear me now. Sorry.
Yes, please go ahead.
Muted. Yeah, sorry about that. I think this is a very important question in the sense that, I mean, we tend to miss these subtle signs and symptoms of mental illness. And that is why we tend to see them in quite a late stage. So the important thing we need to all understand is that mental illness is not the preserve of some particular group of people. It's been shown that it affects all spectra of life. Every person can get a mental illness, and it does not depend on your socio-economic status. Yes, some conditions are more prevalent in some, in the poor communities and stuff like that. But generally, mental illness affects everybody. So we should understand that nobody is necessarily, likely to get it more than others. The people who are likely to get it more than others are, for instance, if you have it in your family. Okay, so we look at mental illness in what we call the biopsychosocial model. So it could be your biology, which means that you may have a family history, there have been some traumatic brain injury at birth sometimes, or from drug, or it could be psychological trauma and all that, or it could be social. So what we need to understand is that once we know people, that this is who they are, if there is a change, okay, from their norm in terms of their interpersonal relationship, in terms of their potential to deliver, okay, so these subtle things come. Then the individual symptoms that can happen for the various conditions. So for instance, when Dr. Usuentu was talking about the various disorders, she mentioned about anxiety disorder. So if somebody has a fear, which we think is beyond normal, the common one we present with them, we tend to miss is people who think they have a particular condition, or they may die from a particular condition, or they may die from something going to happen to them. These are anxiety disorders, but they come to hospitals and they are made to do a whole, gamut of lab tests, and these are not necessary. They need to be diagnosed. When people begin to tell us subtle signs that, I feel sad and they look sad, or they tell you that I wish I were dead, these are symptoms of mood disorder. When we realize that people are happier than normal, and that is the important part we tend to miss. So when people are sad, they are worried. So usually they may seek help, okay? But when people are over happy, what we call mania, it's the extreme, the other side of being happy, okay? That one, because they are in essence happy people or feel better than normal, they themselves will not seek help. So other people around them should realize that no, this person did not used to behave like that, okay? So let's not forget that being mentally ill does not necessarily mean that you lose your intellectual faculties. So, and that is what we tend to miss in this country a lot. Because somebody still makes sense, because somebody still, make a logical argument, then we think that, no, this person cannot be ill, even though they are exhibiting symptoms which are a clear deviation from who we know them to be. So it is very important that we understand these symptoms. We expect children, for instance, to have some expected behavior as they grow up, as they mature. When children are not exhibiting this behavior, or when they are over-exhibiting those behaviors, we need to have a concern. So that, and this should be diagnosed usually by teachers.
Senator, I want to just interrupt you briefly and ask a quick question about the happiness bit. Now, I can understand when someone is showing signs of sadness that, maybe something is wrong, because nobody obviously wants to be sad. But when someone is happy, is that a mental disorder?
Yeah, so that is what we, I will maybe later say over happy, okay? So this is
okay. So sorry, so but how does over happiness manifest itself?
Yes. So let me explain that briefly. That they have such an elevated mood, okay, which is higher than their normal, and this mood is sustained, okay, over a period at least 4 days. Okay, so we say that they are happier than normal most time of the day, most days of the week. So if this goes on for at least 4 days, then we definitely have a problem. Okay, so the challenge we have is that, in fact, when people have this over happy mood, they may have increased sexual, they may have increased libido, sexual tendencies. They may have increased goal-directed activity. So they may be doing something which may be useful. Okay, that still does not mean that they are not sick. For instance, they can wake up early in the morning and clean the whole house, and they will be singing. Commonly, Ghanaians are religious. They will start preaching, So these are signs of illness, and we should not say that because people are expressing themselves better now, or we should know that this is only over a short period of time. When this person has not been like that, there's always a culturally acceptable way of our expression. And you need to know that a deviation from who that person is, based on their educational background, their culture, their religion, and all that, then we should know that, no, this might be, a sign of an illness. And when we are not sure, we should just consult. We are not sure, so just seek help. There's no harm in seeking help, because any of us can fall ill. And nobody calls for an illness. Nobody invites that I want to be ill. Nobody wants to be hypertensive. Nobody wants to have a bipolar.
Yeah.
So we should really appreciate it when somebody has a deviation from their norm and seek help for it. There's no shame in doing that.
Okay, well, there's no shame in doing that, but we know that there's a lot of shame attached to people with mental illness in Ghana. And so I want you to address, we have just 10 minutes to wrap this up. I want to talk about mental health in Ghana. Like I said yesterday, I heard a lot of people say that we don't pay attention to that in Ghana. I want to get your perspective. We've come through stages where we now have a mental health bill. So you would have said that we have moved on from somewhere. And I'm bringing you in, Dr. Usuenchi, so that I get your perspective on this. What is the state of mental health in Ghana from your perspective, and how do we move on from there? I have other things that I want you to talk about, so I just want you to bear in mind so that you can make the answers brief for me. For example, family communications and family relations, how it can help with this and how we deal with it. So let's start with this section of our conversation with the state of mental health in Ghana. Dr. Ruth.
Yes, I think Ghana has come really far in terms of mental illness, and sometimes that makes us complacent. People feel that some years back there was nothing known about mental illness and mental health, and now there's a mental health authority. The mental health bill has been passed, and so enough has been done. Unfortunately, we still have a long way to go. Every district hospital should have a mental health wing. You cannot have a health facility without a mental health wing, because most of our conditions are intertwined. When Dr. Dodoi was speaking, he touched on anxiety disorders. Anxiety disorders may present with cardiovascular symptoms or cardiac symptoms. And so if there is not a cardiology or there are others that may present as perotoxicosis and all that. And so we need to do more as a nation. If you look at the budget allocation for mental health in the country, there is still more to do. It is not just Ghana, but I think the entire of Africa. We go to Europe and other countries, and the attention given to mental health is overwhelming. Their facilities are neat, they are humane. You go to our psychiatric hospitals, and you will not want to be admitted there.
What would you recommend?
The place should look like the people. I recommend that mental health is given equal attention, like it is given to HIV, it is given to malaria, it is given to cardiology. My department, for instance, at Kofanochi needs a huge expansion. We have not seen any expansion since 1981. People think that it's not important. I mean, what is mental health to people? You know, so I think that the government should listen to us, because nobody is immune. The mental illnesses are no respecter of persons. And I expect that every single district hospital in the country gets a mental health wing or a mental health unit within the facility.
Dr. Dodoi, I want you to focus on the statistics, if there are any, that gives us a mental picture, or that gives us a clear picture of how well we're doing when it comes to mental health. And if you have any recommendations as well, what do we do in our current situation so we can get to the ideal place?
Yeah, thank you. I mean, in fact, about 5 years ago, about the mental health gap, mental health treatment gap, that is the number of people who need, help, who don't get help, okay, we're up to about 95% of those who are ill. So if even, as Ruth said, we are doing better now, we've improved a lot, okay, but we are far away from ideal, okay. When we are supposed to get about one psychiatrist to about 80 to 100,000 of a population, in Ghana we are doing one psychiatrist to about 1 to 1.5 million population. So we are terribly low, okay? So we do not have the human resources, we do not have the physical facilities. And the worst of all, because you see, when we are aware now that Black men, for instance, are prone to getting hypertension.
Worst of
so
all,
as you grow older, we tell you to check your blood pressure.
You said worst of all, and then I lost you, but I want to get what you said there.
Talk about cervical cancer. You said?
You said worst of all. You indicated that as at the moment we have about 1 psychiatrist to about 1.5 million people. And then you said worst of all, and you've said something which I missed. Can you repeat that?
Yeah, I said the worst of all is mental health illiteracy.
Okay. Okay.
That is, I mean, the general population do not understand what mental ill health is and what mental health is.
Yeah.
To the extent that when people maybe come on social media, on TV, and they are ill, we use their illness to ridicule them. Okay, when they're showing symptoms, I'm not sure anybody will want to ridicule a stroke patient. Okay, but because we understand that stroke is an illness, it's not their fault. So why on earth will you ridicule somebody, will you make fun of somebody because they have a mental illness? I mean, as if they called it upon themselves. So we need so much education of our populace on what mental health is and what mental ill health is and what to do to, identify the problem and when to seek help and where to seek help. So
what do you recommend?
Resources. But the more important thing I think we need to do now is if we can get mental health as part of national health insurance. As at now, when people are mentally ill, they have to pay money to access mental health care, even though, they may be insured. And the sad thing is that we have passed the law in the Mental Health Act that says that mental health is free. So when it is free, it doesn't mean nobody picks up the bill. Government picks up the bill, and this, bill is not being picked up. So to get the services, to get the essential service, which mental health is, you need to pay out of pocket. And this is not good enough.
Okay.
So as a country, we should begin to look at mental health as part of our primary health care and get it under national health insurance.
Okay. I want to bring to your attention 2 stories that caught my attention yesterday throughout the discussion. Dr. Dodoi, just to clarify, did you say that even though the mental health law says mental health attention is free, it is not free at the moment? You need to pay for it. Is that clear? Is that correct?
Yeah, So I work at the teaching hospital, that is whole teaching hospital. Dr. Owusu works in Kofanachi. If you have to access mental health care there, these are not under the ambit of the mental health authority. Okay, so when you go for mental health services there, you need to pay for it.
Okay.
Okay, so, and that is where the problem is, whether you have insurance or not, because we have not prioritized mental health to be part of the primary health care that should be under national health insurance.
Okay.
So if you don't go to, a mental health authority facility, okay, that means that you are going to pay out of pocket to access mental health care.
All right.
And that isn't good enough.
Okay, let me bring
the mental health authority for facilities are only down south.
Okay.
2 in Greater Accra, 1 in Central Region, and that is it for the whole country.
Okay.
So what are we talking about?
Okay, my 2 final.
You can access mental health care in only 3 facilities in the country, which are all down south.
Yeah. My 2 parts of the conversation that we wrap up is how can family communication. I want us to focus on what we can do to improve our mental health care. You've spoken about the NHIS. Dr. Ruth has also spoken about the expansion, for example, that's needed facility-wise, etc. I want us to focus on how we can do it. I remember back in 2014 or so, I did a report about how families can actually support and how it actually, the support for mental health care starts from the home. And I'm sure you can give us some more on that. I want you to take a look, listen to this gentleman. He has been jailed. He has been jailed for beating up his child, his 3-year-old child with barbed wire, with some wire, I think, and there were deep cuts on the boy's skin. Yesterday, he spoke to us. I want you to listen, and when we come back, we'll talk about it.
An exclusive interview with Love News, the convict, amidst tears, apologized and revealed he was mentally tormented for 13 years of his life.
I told this lady about what I'm going through. I regret for my actions. I hear so many voices, and then I've been through so much pain for 13 good years. So when it reflects or occurs to me, I become disturbed, distracted.
He says he's been hearing voices urging him to end it all.
It occurs to me that it is over. You know, stop going, stop hating. Stop hating. End it. End your life. I sometimes become so frustrated. I don't know what works me.
I listened to him and I was speechless. I want to take your thoughts on this, but also there's been news about Archbishop Duncan Williams' son, who has been in the news with his social media outbursts, etc. Some videos, obscene videos as well, that he put out there. The Archbishop himself and the church has issued a statement. In that statement, they asked that people should pray for him. He says that his son is ill and he gets, you know, hyper like this when he doesn't get on his drugs. I'll quickly take a look at quickly take a look at a part of that statement where he asks that, he says, Daniel has undergone the very best medical interventions, treatment and hospitalizations, yet he experiences relapses when he does not continue on his prescribed medication. The Archbishop says that this is a test of his faith, but he will overcome. So I want to just come back to you. And I don't know if you want to look at it from the perspective of religion and mental health, or if you want to look at it from the perspective of family and mental health. Your perspective on this, as I've put it. Let me start with you, Dr. Oswenchi.
Right. So we realize that, first of all, mental illness is no respecter of persons. It can affect the rich, the poor, the Christian, the non-Christian. It is no respecter of persons. Now, I am glad that the Archbishop, for instance, has identified and accepted that the son is not well. And that does not mean that
having a little bit of a challenge there with Dr. Oswenchi. Doc, let's see if I can go to Dr. Dodoy and come to you quickly. Dr. Dodoy, make this your final thoughts for me, your own perspective to these stories.
I am sure that they are seeking the right kind of help. In his statement, he issued, he said that he has sought help, and then whenever he stops his medications, he relapses. It means that...
Okay. Yeah, a little bit of confusion here. Let's try and sort that out as we wrap up the conversation. Dr. Dodo, go ahead.
Yeah, Gifty, I think, like Ruth was saying, okay, it is very good that the man of God accept and admit that, yes, this is an illness. I attend ICGC. My pastor is, a prophet Yabano, who actually sometimes will refer a patient to me that, no, Dr. Dodoy, this person has come to me for prayers, but I think he is ill. Attend to him.
Okay.
So there is a very good relationship between religion, okay, and mental health. The fact that people are religious, the same way when they are ill, their symptoms will be religious. So who you were before you were ill affects how you present when you are ill. So if I happen to be a Muslim, if I happen to be, an atheist, when I am ill, I will express those same thoughts. Okay, so let us not see the fact that people who are mentally ill exhibit or say things which are religious to make it look like as if it is the religion which is causing it or anything. But it is none of them. It's like any other illness. Just as when somebody has an accident on the motorway, we will not stop and pray for them. In the same way, when somebody is mentally ill, we will not stop treatment and pray for them. So I think it is a very excellent thing that he acknowledges that he is ill and he's sick help. And I must admit that when he said that the young man has got a bipolar, that is the natural cause of a bipolar disorder. Okay. They hardly take their medication because, as I said, they feel happy and they do not see why they should take their drugs. And when they are ill, they themselves don't realize that they are ill. So we are going to get some of these things happening. For the man in Kumasi, it is sad that it's as if we are replaying the Charles Entry case again. This is very similar to the Charles Entry case who wanted to kill the former president. So the fact that somebody can make plans and do something that we think is intelligible does not rule out a mental illness. Okay. So this young man is saying that, yes, I hear voices, I want to even commit suicide. And we think that it is fair to punish somebody for having symptoms of an illness. So this is just like saying that because your blood pressure is high, go to jail. Okay. Or because you have a high body temperature, go to jail. This is not right. Okay, we cannot punish people for being ill. It is not their fault that they fall ill. And it's not, it's not the fault of any family member that their relative fall ill. So I do not see why people would think that it is because of the Archbishop's training or because of whatever he did or didn't do. That is why this young man is ill. It may have influenced the illness, but seriously, bipolar is not a condition that we can control basically by training. Okay, no, it is something that people are born to have.
Thank you so much.
Hypertension, we can't stop it.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Unfortunately, I've run out of time, and unfortunately, I couldn't really get the last words of Dr. Ruth Owusu-Antwi. But I hope that if you listen to this conversation, it has helped you. It will guide you in your subsequent movement and your subsequent relations with people. Dr. Ruth Owusu-Antwi is head of the psychiatry at Komfo-Anokye Teaching Hospital and Vice President of Psychiatric Association of Ghana. And Dr. Eugene Dodoi is head of the Department of Psychological Medicine and Mental Health. Thank you so much. I'm sure we'll have time to have this conversation again. Well, it's been raining for some 2 days now, as you're well aware of. Parts of Accra were flooded and some lives were lost. Today, we want to see how these residents are getting their lives back on track. Nancy Emefa-Jadosi joins me live with details. Nancy.
Gifty.
Well, Nancy, what are you picking up from there? I see some very excited young men behind you. What's happening there?
Well, Gifty, ever since we got to the Odona side, almost every house you see here has mattresses. They have their TVs outside because, according to them, the rain took out everything and have destroyed every property that they own. But what you see here will seem to you as just rubbish. But these are things that are being sold in a shop that were washed away by the rains. And so a bag of rice, toilet rolls, you have diapers, all of it soaked by rains and now cannot be sold anymore. The shop owner here has declined speaking to me because she says she's extremely tired and exhausted from trying to salvage the remaining things in the shop, and so she cannot speak to me. She just opened and she's just about to realize that some of the things have been taken away by the rain, and she says she's very saddened by the situation, but she doesn't want to speak because she thinks that she's been speaking about this for quite some time now and nothing has been done. But I want to take you to a certain house that I met here, quite a very interesting house, because when I got here, I saw a pile of rubbish. I thought it was just rubbish, but apparently those bags you see are filled with clothes of people. What this is, because when I came, I thought it was just rubbish that had been packed outside. But what exactly are these?
Okay, these are some of the stuff from my room. So these are some of the dresses. My bed sheets, my pillows. In fact, this is some of the stuff in my room. I've thrown some of away, and these are the rest left. And these are still going to boiler. So we don't have anything left. This is what I have on right now.
Wait, I want to understand. You are saying that what you're wearing now is all that you have?
Yeah, this is the only dress I have on right now. Just to the top end now.
Because, okay, so let me just describe what I see. I see mattresses, I see phone cases, I see clothes, all in this bag, and shoes.
Like my shoes. The shoes some are even gone, and these are like some of my sugar conco, like what I use for my provisions. You can see I have a little bit of sugar inside. These are some of the rubbishes, like.
So these are what is
dress. These are my clothes, like my jeans. You can see this is like a correct dress I bought some time ago, like I think a week ago. So these are my clothes. Everything is gone. See, everything is gone.
So I want you to let's take a tour into your house and see how exactly bad the situation is in this home. And so I'll step in briefly, and then you take us to your house. All right. So where do you live? Where's your room?
So my room is here. This my landlord. There's another guy living beside me. So.
All right. So
some of the shoes, all these ones are gone. This one we can't even see one. One is gone. Some are spots. The iron is gone. Everything is spots. This one is just one we are having here.
Okay. So Gifty, I am entering the house or the room of this gentleman to find out how bad the situation is. Okay. So
it's broke.
I'm sure here it's quite dark, but this is the door.
Yeah, the door is broke.
Okay.
Yeah, and the only things you could get from the room is this, and this, the rubbers. Everything is gone. My table, the gate is even locked, so you have to bend.
Okay. So I'm going to try bending down to see what exactly we can get out of this. All right. So we are in his room now.
Yeah.
So this is where you live?
Yeah, this is where I live.
So where were your TV sets?
This was my TV. You have to pass through there down. It's locked. So you have to pass through there down. This is where my TV was. The TV is gone.
The ring to the TV?
Like it's broke. Like it fell down. It's like a flat screen, so it fell down and broke.
Okay.
This is like the rice cooker. They were able to get it. This is where my home theater was.
And what's the home theater?
Oh, it's damaged. It's outside. When we go, I'll show it to you. And I was having my provisions and some other personal stuff, my documents, everything is gone. The wardrobe, this is my wardrobe. There's nothing in it. It's empty.
Okay, I see that my cameraman is trying to get into the place. But, okay, so this is your wardrobe.
Yeah.
And there's absolutely nothing in it.
There's nothing in it. Nothing. We didn't get anything. Everything is gone. So we are starting life all over again.
How long have you been living here?
Okay, let me say I've been living here for the past 2 years.
2 years?
My brother, actually, my cousin was here. He was called Nana, and he left. Yeah. I was here before the June 3rd happened. So the June 3rd, we thought it won't go again. So, like, I took over because he has gone out. So I took over from here. Then since then, it doesn't actually happen. So, like today, this is the level of the water. This is
Show me.
The level of the
wow. Water. Okay. All right. So, Gifty, this is actually the level of the water that entered the room, and this is really disturbing and quite surprising. So, where did you sleep? Where did you sleep this past few days? Where have you been sleeping?
Oh, we have just been hanging around. Okay. So, somebody gave me a car to use for a Uber. So, when the whole thing started, actually it was not raining. The place got flooded before the rain came. You get it? So we have to rush the cars out of the house. So I think, okay, so we have like the car. So sometimes we sleep in the car or we hang outside till the next morning. Like yesterday like this, we were just hanging outside because we don't know what actually is happening.
Right. So let's go out again and then let's see what you can find.
The gate is locked.
So you would have to buy your stuff all over again?
Yeah, like I have to buy everything all over again. Everything all over again.
Okay, so I want to believe that you're not the only one that has been affected by this.
All of us are the downside. Like the downside, all of us are affected.
Okay, so I am stepping out, but I see that people are trying to wash the remaining of their things and try and salvage the remaining things that they have. It's quite disturbing. I see people trying to salvage the things out of their room, but it's quite a disturbing story. People are basically angry because they feel that they have been speaking about this for a very long time and nothing at all has happened to their case. So when I stand at the door, I want you to tell me where's the level of the water when it rained here?
Yeah.
Okay, you're telling me that the level of the water, it covers where?
This is the level. You can see a little bit of here, but this was the level. So that's why we use this thing to make a lock up there that this was the level. So you have to swim. And like there was fuel, like there were cars, you know the NS Chemist cars, right? They were parked there. So the water took the car. So all the fuels in the car, that was the diesel, the petrol drained out. So it was in front of the car, like in the water. So just imagine fuel on the water and you are in the water trying to survive.
Wow.
Yeah, you see what happened.
So I want to believe that all these neighbors, all the people living in this area...
There's even broken a wall there. There's a church wall there. It's broken.
Okay.
Yeah, cars were stocked. So you can see now before we are even trying to recover from the pandemic.
Gifty, this is quite a very disturbing story. I'll try and go to some other places, but the situation here is quite dire. If these people are trying to also fight the coronavirus pandemic and also battle flood at the same time, quite a disturbing story here at the Odona Drains. But we will go around again and find out to see what else we can get in other areas.
Nancy, thank you so much for that update. These are the things that essentially leave you speechless. You can't talk about it more. All right, so you're still here on the AM show. We've given you an idea of those who are, counting their losses from the rain. We'll take a very quick break. When I return, we're talking about e-learning systems. I have a chat with the Royal Commonwealth Society who are partnering with us here at the Multimedia Group to bring you e-learning education that's affordable. We'll talk about it when I return. And indeed, the world has changed and you must adjust as well. So we're looking at education, how we adjust to the new normal as far as education is concerned. Like I said, the Commonwealth Mission is partnering with Multimedia Group Limited to bring you that chime. And I have John Opia, who's head of mission for the Commonwealth Enterprise and Investment Council, who tell us a bit more about that. John, it's good to see you. This time around, we're not testing you on what you don't know.
Good to see you as well, Gifty. Nice to see you at the Multimedia Group. Hoping you well. The reception seems very, very bad on my end.
Yes, it does sound not too good. Let's see how it gets as we progress. So let's take a look at the chime. But before that, what does the Commonwealth have for Ghanaians? Do tell us about the chime as you do that as well. Hello, John, can you hear me?
So the CHIME program stands for the Commonwealth Home Individual Management Education. And in a nutshell, it's to try and promote education, distance education for Ghanaians at a time when they need it the most. We realize that a lot of people have lost their job, so for the unemployed. At the same time, it's for those who are employed, who want to better themselves in terms of career development. It's for the entrepreneur or the innovator who wants additional skills or additional knowledge to be able to better themselves as well. It's for the young person in university who's at home at the moment, trying themselves more knowledgeable by end COVID. So specific design for COVID times to be able to provide knowledge, education, provide skills training, and provide accredited certificate for Ghanaians.
Most part of what you said, but my understanding is that this is for people who are at home, people who want to acquire extra knowledge, people who want to educate themselves in these times of coronavirus without necessarily being in a group or being in a crowd for that. I hope that is correct. Tell us who should be a part of such a program. Is there a selection process? How does it work?
So the course is age 5-6. For that amount of money, you get to study a package. The package is made up of 6 modules. Out of 36 modules, you end up walking up with 14 certificates if you finish the entire course. So the registration is very simple. You go to the website for it, www.timeghana.org, www.timeghana.org. You register and just follow the instructions that we give you. And we're going in batches of 500. As you can see, this book usually worth probably about 1,000 or £2,000. We've been able to subsidize it very much with the help of our partners who are in Ghana, which, as we mentioned, is the SDG Advisory Unit of the Office of the President, NCCE, NYA. So we're very excited.
John, sorry. Again, I lost most part of what you said, and I'll try and go over what I heard, but I want you to go over it again so that our viewers can be clear. You mentioned, did you say 85 cities gives you a package, and that package comes also with a module, and you work through the module, and that how to register is to go to www.chimeghana.org. And I had some £2,000 there as well. It wasn't really clear. I'd like for you to go over it again.
Gifty, I didn't hear you. Can you repeat?
Okay. All right. Well, let's try this again. So, I didn't really hear the last sentence that you made. What I heard was that there is an 85 cedi registration fee. I'm not sure if I got that figure right. And it comes with a package that includes a module, and you go through the module for the program, and then you have to get to www.chimeghana.org to register. Is this correct? But go through what you said again. Hopefully we'll have a better connection this time.
So the Chime package is worth 185 Ghana,
okay,
which comes to about £25 sterling, 185 CDs. For that amount, you get to study the whole package. The whole package is made up of 36 different modules. And so, as you can see on the screen, management, project management, business administration. So once you pay that 185 CDs, you study for all 36 modules. Now, these 36 modules all have different certificates attached to it. And so when you complete a particular module, you'll be able to get a certificate for it. Some of them you complete probably about 10 modules, and you get one certificate. Otherwise, you read one module, you get one certificate for it. So once you go on the website, www.china.org, I think we need to find much more information about.
I think that our viewers are unable to get anything from this. It's not serving them. The network, the connection is not as smooth, and so we're not really getting the message. We want to play this video, which actually contains the message again, so people can take a look once again, have an idea what it's about. We'll try again, and if it doesn't work, we'll show people where the video is, and perhaps we can have this conversation again. Take a look at this. seen the WhatsApp number there. You can just give them a WhatsApp, take a look at what it is there is. And 185 CDs is the package, and it comes with a module, and it is the Commonwealth Home Education, Home Individual Management Education. The Commonwealth Home Individual Management Education. Essentially, in these times, they're giving you the opportunity to acquire extra skill. I have John Apia, who is joining us all the way from the UK and explaining this to us. Let's see if we can get him again. Hi, John. Okay, we've lost John, unfortunately. But log on to www.chimeghana.org. That's www.chimeghana.org and see if this is for you. And I really encourage you to get some extra education, some extra knowledge. John, are you there? Hi, John.
It's so hard.
Yes,
but
yes.
I think that it's really bad.
Yes. Let's go through it once again and see if it works. At this point, give us a highlight of what people must know about this program.
Gifty, I cannot hear you at all. I cannot hear you.
Okay. Yeah. I think we should do this again, John. We definitely should do this again. Sincere apologies for that. Okay. Right. On that note, I'll have to say bye-bye to you. It's been a great day. I've been here with Roland Walker. This is the AM show. My name is Gifty Ando Apia. Log on to myjoyonline.com. There's a lot more information. But make a date with us tomorrow morning. Let's brighten your day. And I wish you a great day. No matter what happens, be still and know that God is in control.